Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please let us know what your verdict is.
We find the defendant, LeBrick James.
So you're probably wondering how we got here. Well, in order to tell this part of the story, we need to go back about 2 months before we got to this point. LeBrick was entering the postseason after being named the Rookie of the Year and the Defensive Player of the Year. LeBrick was on a high that he couldn't be taken down from. The team loved him, and they were looking to him to help bring home a play-in win as Utah headed into the postseason. The play-in game against New Orleans and the world definitely wanted to see Zion versus LeBrick, and they were in for a show. LeBrick coming in as the Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Everyone wanted to see how things were going to play out. The anticipation from the warm-ups and the jump ball all led to this. Of course, you know Brick had to start off showing off his athleticism in the paint, throwing down a monstrous dunk and hanging on the rim to get things started. This was his intimidation tactic that he would use on all his opponents, and early on, it was looking as if it was going to work. Being able to muscle his defenders for easy putbacks on the offensive board was making the defense tired of trying to figure out where he was on the court, which leads him to hitting a very unusual jumper that really had the defense confused. Again, on the offensive board, taking advantage of the overexerted New Orleans defense to get a score. Then he shows off his new ability to score off the dribble, catching the defense on their back foot, putting up yet another easy bucket. Needless to say, Utah came away with the win and advanced to the playoffs, where in round one, they take on a very tough opponent in Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, whom they defeated in convincing fashion. And I think we all can see that Brick was excited to get out of that arena as fast as possible. And as Brick would learn quickly, the playoffs only get tougher every round, trying to set the tone for the Western Conference Finals against LeBron chasing his 5th ring. Getting this block let the Lakers know that it wasn't going to be an easy series, which got the team fired up as Brick throws down a tough dunk with AD right behind him. But AD had a response for everything Brick did and some, throwing down a dunk of his own, then coming right back down, making a tough layup over the much smaller Brick. But Brick was fighting and would respond moments later with an easy layup. The Lakers, being a veteran team that's been in the playoff situations before, was really taking it to the young Utah team. Bucket after bucket, they were flooding this inexperienced team every chance they got. Brick will respond with a nasty poster on a much smaller defender though, and then he hit what should have been an and one play over LeBron. But the Lakers were just too powerful for Brick to handle. It came out swinging and won their first game on the road in Utah, which was demoralizing for the team. You really felt like he let the team down. Unfortunately, game 2 wouldn't be any different for the Jazz. The Lakers were looking to sweep Utah if they weren't careful, and this is when Brick would have to pull himself and his team up if they wanted a chance to advance to the NBA Finals. Luckily for Utah, Brick had some more fight in him as they managed to turn the series around, go to a game 7 where it was a win or go home situation for both teams. And game 7 was one of them games for the ages. Brick was locked in from the jump ball, throwing up hella pump fakes, keeping AD on his toes, making a heavily contested shot. Then coming right back doing the same thing, switching up the shot. Crazy take, but it went in. Around about the time when everyone in the stadium knew he was blacked out, unstoppable, slamming the ball down, beating his defenders, getting to the line, making easy buckets. Even when the subs came in, he continued to show his dominance, backing them down, shoulder in their chest, easy bucket underneath, grabbing boards as soon as they come off the rim, going to the other side and throwing it down. It was like, what could he not do at this point? And the Lakers, LeBron, AD just didn't have an answer for the Rookie and Defensive Player of the Year, as Brick throws it down with Braun right there trying to stop him. But time ran out for the Lakers as they couldn't mount a comeback, and Brick ran off with the game and the Western Conference. If you would have told Brick back in high school he would win Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the Western Conference Finals all in his first year in the NBA, he probably would have snuck you. But here he is, standing with his team, holding up that trophy, proud. But all wasn't good. Back home, things were starting to come to light. Snitches were making their way out of their holes with jealousy of Brick's success, and things were starting to grow. The DA wanted to know who was responsible for the deaths of 2 black males whose bodies were left in the street. You see, the DA was up for election, and this would be his final opportunity to show the community that he was the right guy for the job, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get the person responsible for the killings. And the more he was digging, the more information he was finding. The more he offered pardons and lesser sentences for those already incarcerated, the more information he was getting. The case that he was building up started to become more than just one murder. It was becoming a life goal for the DA. He was on a mission that was going to have someone serving the rest of their lives in prison, and it was going to get him the election win he was so desperate for. Speaking of desperate wins, Brick and Utah were in the NBA Finals, and Miami was desperately looking for a way to stop Brick. Game 1, and Brick was not messing around with these goofies as he starts the game with a huge block, disrespecting the Miami Heat fans as the ball goes flying past their faces. And then Brick got into his offensive bag that would have him on ESPN highlights for the rest of eternity, whether it was off the dribble, cutting backdoor. He always seemed to be in the right place at the right time, making a play. This series, he was really showing off his quick dribbles to the basket, making things look way too easy under that rim. Even seeing him have more confidence in his jumper, popping out on a pick and pop, nothing but net. He was way too slippery this game, going backdoor again, this time for a lob over 2 defenders. Somehow Kyle Lowry gets caught up in the mix. Finally, someone smaller than Brick that he can easily bully for a quick 2 points. Even taller defenders like Capella couldn't handle the elusive LeBrick James, and it was just bucket after bucket for him. And Brick was now averaging 16 points per game in the playoffs, and game 1 goes to Utah in Miami. And game 2 was no different than game 1, making the series 2-0 in favor of Utah. But check out how game 3 would end with seconds left in the game. Miami has the lead. Jimmy Butler is trying to dribble out the clock, but Brick wasn't going for it as he comes up, rips the ball off Jimmy, transition, leading to an easy bucket for Brick with seconds left on the clock. Utah fans were super loud in that building that night as Brick does the impossible, making this series 3-0 in game 4 at home in Utah. It was all but over for Miami. Brick knew what it was going to take to win this game, getting started with a tough and one to set the tone in this possible sweep. And you would not believe your eyes if you didn't see it, but Brick pops out for a 3-pointer and it was money. At this point, if you're at Miami, you must know it's over. Brick only attempted like 3 3-pointers all season, and on his 3rd attempt is in the finals and he makes it against you. Might as well pack it up. Not only that, you get punched on. Your center, who's much taller than him, is lost in the sauce as he gets more easier buckets than before. Even Bam couldn't slow him down, sending him to the line on the and 1 play. Countless times seeing Brick under the basket not being guarded. Contest coming in too late. He's too fast and too strong for the tiring defenders. Reverse dunks, easy dunks, making your center look like the smaller player, and that was enough. Brick has somehow went from a no-name undersized center to the #1 center in the world, winning his first NBA title in his first year in the NBA. He was special. This was a special moment for Brick and the entire organization in Utah. It was almost like a dream. Too bad we have to eventually wake up from those dreams. You see, the DA had gathered all of his evidence, all of the witnesses, and those willing to testify, and LeBrick was officially arrested. There was no bond set due to the extremities of his charges. Brick wasn't interested in talking to the feds once he was brought in. Absolutely no deals would be made. And here we are, fast forwarding 6 years into the future, because it took 5 years to start the trial and 1 full year to complete the trial, and it was time to announce the verdict. And the verdict was guilty on all counts. Brick's life was over. What was kept under wraps was that they really wanted his mother and his OGs and were willing to cut him a deal in exchange for the information he would be able to provide, but instead, he took the rap for a RICO charge. He told investigators that everything that happened was his own doing. No one else had anything to do with it, and he wouldn't budge from that statement. Needless to say, Brick spent the rest of his life behind bars. And the crazy part was, he was fine with it. Brick would go down as one of the greatest sinners to ever touch the floor and one of the greatest gangsters to ever do it.
You improve your draft stock.
By how much?
I'm going to assume it's around 1.5 rounds.
That's it?
Listen, Corey, we gotta be realistic with this. You went from last round to 5th round. I'm impressed. I've been doing this for a long time, and usually you don't see a jump like this.
Okay, I'll trust you on this one.
And I'm glad you are, because I still have some more tricks up my sleeve